Hello everyone, and thank you for attending our webinar, Threat Intelligence Automation, the next step in SOC evolution. I am your host, Mindy Stubbs, Demand Generation Coordinator here at Optive. Before we get started, a few items of housekeeping. First, this webinar is being recorded and will be available in the next few days for on-demand viewing. You can see here on the console that we have several resources you can use during or following the webinar. This includes some resources we think you'll find valuable when it comes to your security program. We have our full speaker bios, social sharing buttons, and a Q&A chat box. You'll also find all these same widgets on your toolbar as you scroll to the bottom of your screen. Regarding the Q&A chat box, we will have someone monitoring the chat box throughout the webinar and during the Q&A period. However, we may not get to every question. If we don't answer your question, we will follow up after the webinar. Let me take a quick moment to introduce our speakers, Walter Powell and Kurt Baker. Walter Powell is a cybersecurity visionary with over 10 years of experience providing executive advisory and IT security thought leadership services. Over the years, Walt has provided architectural and design support for a varied set of security solutions and has assisted clients with every aspect of security. In his current role with Optive Security, Walt assists a variety of Fortune 500 companies by aligning their security programs and risk strategies with their business goals. Kurt Baker is the Senior Director of Product Marketing for Intelligence at CrowdStrike. He has over 25 years of experience in senior leadership positions specializing in early-stage software companies. He has expertise in cyber threat intelligence, security analytics, security management, and advanced threat protection. Prior to joining CrowdStrike, Kurt worked in technical roles at Tripwire and had co-founded startups in market ranging from expertise security solutions to mobile devices. Kurt holds a Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of Washington and is based in Boston, Massachusetts. All right, we are very excited to have them both with us today, and with that, we will begin the webinar. Kurt, why don't you start us out?
Great. Thanks a lot, Mindy. Today, I'm going to talk about Falcon X and intelligence automation. Falcon X is a new product launched at Black Hat this summer by CrowdStrike. CRN Magazine has actually already named Falcon X as one of the coolest new cybersecurity tools of 2018, and fans have recently written a great product review on Falcon X, which is available on their website, along with a companion webinar. CrowdStrike is also pleased to announce that we're a finalist in the 2019 SC Awards for Best Threat Intelligence. So it's not surprising that my topic today is on CrowdStrike Falcon X and how it automates the creation and delivery of intelligence. From the first time I saw this image, it really spoke to me. It captures a typical security team's daily activities. If you're on one of these teams, this may feel familiar. There's just a never-ending abundance of security alerts to deal with, many of them sent to you by someone else. Focus is critical. You need to identify the highest priority alerts coming your way, quickly weed out false positives, and always move fast. If you are by yourself and you don't have a team, you're typically completely overwhelmed. That's a lot of pins for one person to keep in the air all by themselves. There are elements that this picture doesn't convey, but they're implied, and that's there's an audience. People are watching. Your boss, executives, the board, even government regulators. They know that if a pin is dropped, there are serious ramifications that can be measured financially and with business risk. Just look at the news today. Every day seems to be a new breach and a new crisis which could have been caught. So organizations become this juggling act. Haven't all organizations implemented a SIM, a TIP, or a security operations center to handle alerts at scale to eliminate the number of pins in the air? Well, it really does depend. It depends on your organization, your size, your industry, and your risk tolerance. Even if you've invested in one of these technologies, the challenge of implementing and successfully getting value from them is notoriously difficult. Therefore, teams continue to be overwhelmed by the volume and growing sophistication of attacks. Attempts to identify which threats truly require attention takes time away from other important security investigation and incident response tasks that security teams must perform. According to the Ponemon Institute, the average organization will receive 17,000 malware alerts per week, of which 19% are considered suspect, but only 4% are investigated. In addition, 2/3 of the time spent responding to malware alerts is wasted due to faulty, incomplete, or hard-to-understand analysis. The adversaries are getting smarter and are constantly evolving their malware to evade detection and obfuscate their behavior. So what helps when you are overloaded with alerts? Well, context. There's a great quote in the Forrester Wave for MSSPs, and they state, customers crave context. Far too many vendors still pride themselves on the quantity of log data they collect, alerts they produce, and escalations they send to a client. But attribution, motivation, and next steps of an adversary is critical for them to understand. They need system criticality scores to understand the business risk of potential response actions and the vulnerability context to understand what happened and how to stop it from happening again. And they finished the quote by saying, alert factories are no longer valuable. So as Forrester says, customers want to understand the threat intelligence associated with the events, including potential attribution, motivation, and next steps of an adversary. So let's turn our attention to the bad guys and threat intelligence. It is critical to recognize that there's a human being behind every attack. Threat intelligence provides context, helping you understand their motivation, the skills, and their tradecraft, so you can use this knowledge to your advantage to actually predict and therefore prevent a future attack. Threat intelligence is a tremendous game changer in our industry and is why it's over a $1.5 billion market growing at 12% per year. Now, there are many adversaries with a variety of motivations and intent, from financial crime to cyber espionage to hacktivism, and they target the industries and organizations to best fulfill their objectives. CrowdStrike's intelligence team tracks over 120 adversaries worldwide, exposing their targets, tradecraft, and allegiances, prescribing the steps to proactively expose their current activity, predict future activity, and stop them in their tracks. Do you know who could be targeting your organization? For each adversary CrowdStrike tracks, we break them down and create a profile so you can understand who may be targeting your organization and why. It is critical that you gain insight on your adversary's motive, capability, and infrastructure. No one has enough time, money, or resources to boil the ocean and track everything and anyone. We have to understand attackers relevant to our organization and focus our efforts accordingly. But adversaries are only one half of the equation. It's critical that we develop an understanding of our adversaries while also possessing a thorough and honest understanding of our own organization. Achieving this understanding also allows us to predict the adversary's behavior relative to our own attack surface. We can use the adversary profiles to map attackers to our particular industry, but we also need to understand our crown jewels, what we must protect. We also need to understand vulnerabilities to our infrastructure, the effectiveness of our safeguards, and the security and monitoring technology that are being used to protect them. By understanding both our attackers and our organization, we can begin proactively implementing and filling security gaps. One more word on threat intelligence. We also need to recognize that intelligence means different things to different stakeholders within our organization. We have to do much more than create intelligence. We also have to effectively communicate intelligence findings, which demands that we are cognizant of the needs and requirements of these stakeholders. So if you're in a SOC or in operations, you think of threat intelligence tactically in terms of consuming threat indicators into internal systems for real-time alerting or for bolstering your defensive tools such as firewalls or on an endpoint protection solution. If you're an incident responder or designing security architecture, you think of intelligence operationally, informing what action to take, such as what to patch, what to block, and how best to configure your systems based upon threats happening right now. Finally, if you're an executive, you're thinking about threat intelligence strategically so you can plan security and risk initiatives, budgets, so that you can manage potential risk more effectively. What does threat intelligence mean to your organization? Do you simply need threat feeds consisting of bad IOCs that can be integrated into security infrastructure to deliver real-time alerts? Or do you need to monitor the deep dark web for activity against your organization's brands or executives? Or do you need in-depth intelligence reports that outline the details of worldwide campaigns? There are many elements to threat intelligence, many vendors and many solutions. You need to figure out what is right for you. Today, we're going to spend most of our time discussing the leftmost section of this diagram, how to provide better context through automating threat intelligence via Falcon X, so we can prioritize better, make better decisions, and respond faster. At the end of the session, we'll also introduce and discuss how Falcon X Premium expands this offering to include operational and strategic intelligence, providing a true force multiplier for cyber threat intelligence teams worldwide. Now, we talked about the challenge of too many alerts. We talked about getting to know the bad guys and the good guys, and we talked about the importance of not boiling the ocean through trying. In our organization or industry, and the value of identifying the organization's crown jewels and recognizing our security strengths and weaknesses. But where's a good place to start applying threat intelligence in the real world? At CrowdStrike, we believe that intelligence starts at your endpoints, and so does Gartner. In the magic quadrant for endpoint protection platforms, Gartner states, by 2021, EPPs, which are endpoint protection platforms, will provide automated, orchestrated incident investigation and breach response. With Falcon X, we do it today, integrating and automating threat intelligence with endpoint protection to accelerate incident research and streamline the investigative process to drive better security response. Why at the endpoint? Because an alert is a potential attack that just made it through your existing protections and infrastructure and reached an endpoint. This is the highest priority and most relevant threat there is. As you may know, CrowdStrike is the leader in cloud-delivered endpoint protection. We employ a unique one cloud, one sensor approach with a suite of modules built upon the Falcon platform designed to stop breaches. Today, the Falcon platform focuses on three key areas of security: endpoint security, security operations, and threat intelligence. As you move left to right in this visual, your teams transition from reactive to proactive, and your overall security posture and ultimately your ability to stop breaches increases. So a quick word about each. Endpoint security is all about prevention. CrowdStrike combines next-gen antivirus, EDR, and managed threat hunting to protect against all attack types. And we continue to grow the platform capabilities with things like device control so you can fully replace legacy endpoint protection solutions. Security operations is all about visibility. Our EDR starts you off with 5-second visibility into all endpoint activity in your environment, and we extend that with additional visibility into vulnerabilities in your environment as well. Basic IT hygiene provides information about the assets, users, and applications on your network. This provides an ideal foundation for not only security orchestration and automation, but also for threat hunting. Make it easy for your team to hunt for threats and also provide a managed threat hunting service that augments your threat hunting efforts to bring the benefits of proactive threat hunting to organizations that do not have a fully staffed security operations center. And then, of course, threat intelligence. It's all about getting ahead of the next attack. Falcon X provides everything you need to take the lessons learned from previous attacks, whether they happen inside or outside of your environment, and apply that knowledge to prevent future attacks. Threat intelligence has incredible potential to predict and prevent attacks, and we help you realize that potential by natively integrating threat intelligence inside our endpoint protection platform. Falcon X incorporates both malware research tools and human intelligence to make it easy for your team to get ahead of the next attack. All of this delivered in one sensor and one cloud. With Falcon X, there's nothing extra to install, configure, administer, integrate, or deploy. So we learn from the endpoint. And so here's a common situation that happens every day. An attacker hits an endpoint, and your antivirus blocks the threat. Well, let's hope your antivirus blocks the threat. Many next-gen AV vendors, like CrowdStrike, use machine learning and artificial intelligence to block the malicious behavior. However, with traditional AV and next-gen solutions, that's the end of the story. You get this alert, but nothing more. There's no context. If we could cut through the noise of the hailstorm of alerts that we get on a daily basis, wouldn't we want to know more? Wouldn't we want to understand basic questions like, was that alert really bad? Should it be investigated, or can we just ignore it? Is it a false positive? How do I tell? How long has this activity been in my environment? Is the targeted system vulnerable? Am I vulnerable elsewhere? Has it spread? If so, how broadly? Where did it come from? And what stage of the attack cycle have I just uncovered? Is this a commodity attack, or is it targeted? Well, those questions I just outlined sound simple. They can also be very difficult to answer in many organizations. And in many organizations, they are never even asked. The information needed in order to really understand an alert and determine the best course of action is often spread across diverse data stores, often run by other teams. Running queries across a SIEM or extracting a vulnerability or asset report can involve coordinating across multiple groups and can take a great deal of precious time. But we have a ton of data in the SOC, right? We can answer these questions. Yet the core problem in security operations is a simple matter of mathematics. We know from analyst research that most organizations receive hundreds, if not thousands, of alerts per day, represented here by the gray bubbles. These represent important alerts produced by a wide range of tools across the enterprise. Hidden in these alerts are telltale signs of active attacks in various stages of an attack cycle. Our job in security operations is to identify the attacks as quickly as possible and eradicate them before they become serious breaches. This work requires human analysts to investigate in order to determine the best course of action for each alert. We also know that there are fundamental limits to what a human analyst can deal with in a workday. That number can vary, but it's around 10 alerts or 10 investigations per day. That means I need roughly 50 analysts working nonstop in order to handle the average daily load. Even on the best day, no operations team is staffed to handle that sort of load. Hidden in this gray area are unacknowledged attacks that are going to fall through the cracks and become breaches. This is bad news, and most organizations confirm that this is their biggest concern in their security operations team. This is what keeps SOC managers awake at night. Now, if we go back to our example, where the attacker hits the endpoint and your AV blocks the threat and it quarantines the file. At that point, the security team needs to make a decision. Do they investigate or not? And in many cases, there's no choice. You don't have the time, resources, or knowledge to investigate every file. You hope it's isolated, that if it comes back, it'll be blocked again anyway. And that lucky analyst can go back to the other 50 alerts waiting in their queue. Or what we can do is be proactive and realize an attack represents an opportunity to learn. The quarantine file represents a wealth of evidence from the attack. It tells us what it would do, whether it would break out and move laterally or exfiltrate data, whether it's a targeted attack, increasing the odds that they'll return with new methods. Proactively learning from real-world attacks enables teams to take control and move to a proactive security posture. If we're going to create context and investigate, here's what a typical investigation looks like. An alert is validated and typically escalated to a more senior, more expensive personnel. The reputation and behavior of the file is analyzed using tools like VirusTotal and malware sandboxing. The details are then deciphered to attempt to determine the who, what, and why behind the attack. Mature security teams may search for related threats to see what they can learn from the past. The results are transformed into protections that are tested to minimize false positives. An alert or an incident report is created, and then finally the team acts by patching, hardening, injecting IOCs into other security products, and by implementing new policy and strategies to address future attacks. There are just too many tools, too many people, too many activities, too much time, and way too many errors. The challenge is that investigations require this time and the resources and advanced skills. In fact, many smaller organizations still simply can't afford to investigate attacks and are forced to play whack-a-mole. They're always reacting, and they're always trying to keep up with a never-ending stream of alerts. And there simply is just no time. CrowdStrike recently highlighted a new cybersecurity metric based upon insights from our 2018 Global Threat Report called Breakout Time. Data was compiled from 30 trillion security events collected to analyze attacker trends and to develop best practice recommendations. Breakout time can be used to understand and contextualize the effectiveness of an enterprise security program. So what is breakout time? It's the time it takes for an intruder to begin moving laterally outside of the initial beachhead to other systems on the network. The average breakout time analyzed over the previous year comes in at 1 hour and 58 minutes. And that's a tight window during which an organization can prevent an incident from turning into a breach. Breakout time is so important because the initial machine the intruder compromises is almost never the one he or she needs to fulfill his or her objective. The adversary must move laterally so they can burrow deep into the network, perform reconnaissance, and find the targets. 1 hour and 58 minutes dictates how much time the organization has to detect and inject the intruder. That's why it's important to focus on speed when assessing the effectiveness of any security capability. Also recommends that the most cyber-prepared institutions should aim to be able to detect an intrusion in under a minute, perform a full investigation in under 10 minutes, and eradicate the adversary from the environment in under an hour in order to effectively combat sophisticated cyber threats. Organizations that follow this 1-10-60 rule are much more likely to eradicate the adversary before the attack leaves its initial entry point, minimizing impact and further escalation. Visibility across the network is also critical to detect stealthy attackers who may behave like insiders. The use of innovative technologies such as machine learning, endpoint detection and response, and next-generation antivirus will expedite the ability to pinpoint known and unknown threats that might be lurking on the network, while increasing visibility across all of the endpoints in the enterprise. Technologies such as intelligence automation will expedite the time it takes to perform investigations and provide actionable context for quick remediation. The traditional approach to investigations just doesn't cut it anymore. It takes, as we saw, hours or even days to perform the investigation, not the 10 minutes we need. But what if you could automate everything and do it almost immediately without any human interaction? What would that look like? First, you could use state-of-the-art sandbox technology to perform the deepest analysis of evasive and unknown threats and expose all of its malicious intent and identify all behavioral details. Second, you could automatically research the file and find related malware samples used within the same campaign, malware family, or written by the same bad actor. Then analyze all those files as well and overlay the results with world-class threat intelligence to provide attribution and motivation of the actor. And third, you gain access to the IOCs for all of these analyzed files so you can improve your defenses and increase your security posture. Why stop one file when you can actually stop an entire actor attack on your system, past and future, as well as specific malware families and campaigns? Well, you can do this all with Falcon X, CrowdStrike's intelligence automation solution, and this is how it works. Falcon X is part of the Falcon endpoint protection platform that we talked about earlier. So your endpoint protected by Falcon uses machine learning and artificial intelligence to block threats on the endpoints and will automatically send quarantine files to the cloud, where they undergo a full analysis that includes malware analysis, malware search, and we cross-check it against the industry's best threat intelligence. The output is available right within the Falcon console and via IOCs, which can be automatically shared with other security tools such as firewalls, IDS systems, and others. In this world, all investigations can be done in about 6 to 8 minutes. Your security team would not have to decide which threats to ignore or investigate. The investigation would be done for them, and all the intelligence provided would be at their fingertips. The security team would be more effective, have a better understanding of all the threats they face, and be better protected. CrowdStrike Falcon is smarter about detecting threats. This is not about adding another stream of data. You have too much of that already. This is about leveraging your existing layers more effectively and prioritizing those alerts and focusing on the ones that matter most. Falcon X helps you understand quicker. As mentioned earlier, it takes less than 2 hours for an attacker to move laterally from an initial compromised system into other systems within the network. Typical time for an analyst to understand a threat and determine the next action can easily be hours and days. We have to shrink that time if we're going to stop breaches. And once we understand an attack, it's time to act decisively. We take all the information we've gathered about the threat, and we use it to contain it and eradicate it so we can get back to work. Finally, with these basics well in hand, we can take steps towards the holy grail of security operations, getting proactive. This means actively hunting for signs of attackers, not simply reacting to incoming alerts. It means getting off your heels, taking a step forward, and detecting more threats sooner. While other point solutions can tell you whether a file is good or bad, Falcon X will provide you with the context that the SOC teams and the IR teams need to prioritize, remediate, and stop breaches. All threats are automatically investigated and performed within minutes. So let's take a look at how this works in practice. A Windows system where an end user has downloaded a bad file. We'll launch that file And what happens is we will see an error, just like this pop-up notification from CrowdStrike Falcon that says it was blocked due to malicious behavior. Again, with a traditional solution, this is often the end of the story. That's all you get. However, with CrowdStrike, we have additional details around the prevention event as well as the Falcon X intelligence. So once we see prevention event, let's take a look at what we see. In the Falcon UI, we see a new prevention event in our system. As we go down, we see why the executable was blocked. CrowdStrike's machine learning and artificial intelligence found that file to be malicious. There's an indication that this file is not widely prevalent, and we can also see that it was quarantined. This is where Falcon X takes it to the next level and provides richer context for your investigation. The quarantine file was automatically sent to a malware sandbox for further analysis. The risk assessment here indicates that the file shows signs of remote access, system fingerprinting, and evasion techniques. If we drill in even further, directly from the Falcon user interface, we can open the complete report for additional details. Falcon X gives analysts all of this context around what that malicious file would have done in their environment so they can assess the attack and understand the risk. This report summary outlines the risk assessment and shows the discovered indicators categorized as malicious, suspicious, and informational. Under malquery, we find that there are 6 malicious hashes in CrowdStrike's extensive malware database related to this file. And this is important. What we've just done is automatically gone out and searched through over 2 billion malware files that we've collected over the last 5 years and find 6 related hashes. So if we're going to stop this file, let's stop all of those as well. These hashes aid a larger investigation. We can search our environment to understand if and when we had been previously been a victim to this similar malware. That can be especially important in ongoing or targeted attacks. We can also share these hashes out with other security systems and proactively block the download of these known suspected files. Switching to the Network Analysis tab, we also learned that this file tried to communicate with external IPs. These indicators of compromise can be helpful to find other impacted systems and improve the perimeter defenses against Goblin Panda in the future. Lastly, there's a section for advanced analysis. Here we see the hybrid analysis results as well as important extracted strings. And we also see the detonation as it happens. And finally, and you may have noticed this, CrowdStrike's intelligence team has also attributed this file to a bad actor. We know who wrote it. And so this Goblin Panda link takes us to a full actor profile. And this helps us understand the who and why behind the attack. The profile includes Goblin Panda's targeted nations and industry, as well as their frequently leveraged vulnerabilities. We can use this list of CVEs to help ensure that the rest of our environment is properly patched and protected against attacks from Goblin Panda. In the panel on the right, we can also see their known command and control domains, so we can block them. Scrolling down on the left, there are also links to alerts that reference this and other Goblin Panda reports with additional details and explanation on their tradecraft. Looking back at the sandbox report, we see tags related to this malware and adversary. Of specific interest is the targeted tag, We want to use this to cross-reference CrowdStrike's database for information on other targeted attacks that we may have seen. From this screen, we can do two key things. On the right, we see an option to submit our own samples for analysis. We take it, this gives us a way to get the sandbox analysis on files that might not have been found in quarantine directly from a production system. They can be ancillary files that we can then process. We can do search on areas like targeted attacks to help predict how other campaigns and adversaries might approach our environment. As an example, here we see malware attributed to another actor called Viceroy Tiger. In addition to targeted attacks, there is another overlap that we have in that they commonly target the same industry as our previous actor, aerospace, defense, and technology. This is invaluable information to understand our adversaries and predict their lines of attack. Now that we have done all of our research, we might want to revisit that original detection. We might want to download the indicators of compromise that created that are associated with this attack. This will make it easy to share that information so that our organization can take action against Goblin Panda. With AOCs we downloaded from FalconX, we can use Forescout as an example to create a virtual firewall rule so that the traffic is not allowed to this known bad IP. In this case, we're showing a simple manual import, but you can certainly automate this via APIs to leverage the new information in your existing security tools. So with FalconX, all of this intelligence was created and put into context for you. It was generated in about 6 to 8 minutes. So we've solved the first two parts of the 1-10-60 rule and provide the necessary IOCs and context to respond within 60 minutes. Everything that you saw here was generated for you automatically without human interaction. The human makes the decision. So if we take a look at the capabilities of FalconX, what you'll see is that we combine and automate common tools used by SOC teams and incident responders into a single seamless solution. Falcon Endpoint Protection Platform provides files directly from the endpoint, then FalconX does the rest. FalconX performs deep analysis of the file with our leading automated malware analysis capability, providing easy-to-read analysis reports for the most evasive and unknown threats, and delivers a wealth of IOCs to help you improve your defenses. It automatically finds related malware to provide more comprehensive visibility, adding to the context attribution and adding even more IOCs, and that's unique to FalconX. All results are enriched with threat intelligence, including additional visibility from the CrowdStrike threat intelligence team. They consist of a set of active profiles and global IOCs that are updated in real time that you can implement in your TIP or SEM. The CrowdStrike Intel team, via weekly threat reports, will outline current activity in e-crime and cyber espionage to improve your awareness. All of this is delivered in our cloud architecture, eliminating costly infrastructure integration and deployment investments. The predictive capabilities delivered by FalconX automated threat intelligence can benefit any size organization, from the largest enterprise with its own 24/7 SOC operations center to small and mid-sized companies that don't have dedicated SOCs. With FalconX, any organization can elevate its security posture instantly. So with the introduction of FalconX, CrowdStrike became the first company to truly integrate threat intelligence with endpoint protection. Now, we also have another addition called FalconX Premium. And that broadens the scope of the Falcon X offering by adding intelligence reports, intelligence support, custom malware analysis, and access to all of our intelligence APIs. Falcon X Premium combines automated intelligence with human analysis, providing organizations an unparalleled solution for mitigating cyber risk. And the brains behind Falcon X Premium is our global threat intelligence team. They are a pioneer in adversary analysis, tracking more than 120 cybercrime, espionage, and hacktivist groups, studying their intent and analyzing their tradecraft and exposing it to you. This team of threat intelligence analysts, security research, cultural experts, and linguists uncover unique threats and provide groundbreaking research that fuels CrowdStrike's ability to deliver proactive security that dramatically improves your posture. Falcon X, CrowdStrike focused on threats discovered on your endpoints. With Falcon X Premium, we expand that focus to be on threats that you may not have seen yet, those that you should be proactively preparing for. Falcon X Premium includes all Falcon X offerings and widens the focus to include global threat research and reporting from our team. The features provided are in three areas: tools, intelligence reports, and access. So for tools, we provide threat monitoring. This automated monitoring looks for adversary activity against your organization that might be taking place on social media or paste sites. This enables teams to prioritize resources and effectively respond to impending cyber attacks. YAR and snort rules. Integrating these rules into your security infrastructure keeps you ahead of the latest attacks. YAR and snort are rules that are created and validated by our experts to enable faster response with fewer false positives. We create the rules on the threats we see, so you don't have to. API and portal access. You can consume all of our intelligence in real time via well-documented APIs and pre-built integrations with leading SENS, threat intelligence platforms, and more. Under the report section, we provide threat warnings. So every day, nearly every hour, you can keep ahead with an alert to see what the emerging attacks are with real-time emails that update you on new activity, campaigns, and tradecraft. We provide reporting around malware campaigns and provide analysis to enable you to learn how to identify and stop the most sophisticated threats with in-depth expert analysis of the leading adversary attacks, and strategic reports, really in-depth information to help you make informed security and risk management decisions by having a better understanding of the global threat landscape and the emerging risks to specific industries, regions, and infrastructure. And then finally, access. So access to our experts. So you can escalate interesting malware attacks and samples to a CrowdStrike expert for deeper research or to get a second opinion. And you can also stay up to date with our quarterly briefings with the latest trends and emerging threats in around the world. And intelligence support, our team, they're just not product support guys. They are comprised of classically trained intel analysts. We ensure that we have a clear understanding of your intelligence requirements and that you're successfully onboarded, and we also deliver customized quarterly reviews and updates. So, and for attending today's webinar. For more information on Falcon X, please visit our product page up at crowdstrike.com. You can access data sheets, facts, white papers, etc. If you also want to try the platform for free, you can easily register for a 15-day trial. So with that, Walt, over to you.
Thanks, Kurt. That was a wonderful overview of a fantastic CrowdStrike solution. You might be asking yourselves now, who is Optive and what does Optive have to offer and how does that integrate with the spectacular functionality that we just saw from CrowdStrike? Well, Optive is the largest security solution integrator, laser focused on cybersecurity, meaning that Optive is your single source for security technologies. If you're looking to acquire new technologies and tools, we are the #1 reseller of most of the top security solutions. Optive provides security services to support many initiatives from strategic consulting to boutique security projects to technology implementation, management, support, and a variety of practices, including security strategy, risk and compliance, cloud security. We handle lots of foundational security like identity, data, and application security, in addition to security operations and managed services. Optive is able to provide those services and integrations across all industry verticals, including financial, retail, healthcare, technology, and more, serving more than 75% of the Fortune 100 and 2/3 of the Fortune 1000. We deliver those services around the globe by leveraging our more than 1,600 cybersecurity professionals. By joining forces, Optive and CrowdStrike have revolutionized endpoint protection by combining CrowdStrike's innovative next-generation antivirus and EDR, XDR capabilities with Optive's award-winning services to work hand-in-hand with our clients to help combat those new threats that Kurt just discussed. With Optive and CrowdStrike together, you can get the tools and the services that you need to implement your solutions more quickly, more securely, and respond to those changing threats and that changing threat landscape much faster. So how exactly can Optive help you with your CrowdStrike project? Well, Optive integrates all of our security solutions with the plan, build, run model, designed to ensure that you receive the maximum return on your technology investment by maturing and aligning your security projects and programs with your business initiatives. In the plan phase, we can assist with the solution selection process and help you find the solution sets that are right for your environment. Oftentimes, we find that what we're helping with here are things like design and architecture of the solutions, finding the right solutions, doing proof of concepts around those solutions. And once we've picked the solutions that are right for you and found the right tools, then we can move into the build stage. Like I said before, we're one of the largest resellers in the world, and we're able to resell the CrowdStrike solution, help you get it in place, help you get it stood up. And oftentimes during this build phase is where we'll find the actual integration of these tools. So we have those 1,600 cybersecurity professionals who are able to come in and work hand in hand with you to get these tools stood up and operationalized and running in your environment in a meaningful way. Once these are stood up, then we have to run them in a day-to-day basis, and that's where we find our ongoing maintenance. We have the ability to augment your staff or provide professional services to help you with the manpower to run these things. And I'm proud to announce for the first time that coming in 2019, we will be able to provide managed EDR services around the CrowdStrike platform, which is exciting. So we will be able to help you with the day-to-day care and feeding and maintenance and response from your CrowdStrike solution. So I'm really excited to have that added to our offerings. So Optive's extensive breadth and depth of consulting services ensures a more successful and integrated deployment of your CrowdStrike technologies and a better utilization of the product in your unique environment. So I would like to thank everyone for joining us today and open it up to questions at this time. I'm going to check over to Mindy and see if we have any questions right now.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Walter and Kurt, for that presentation. So let's jump right into the Q&A portion. It looks like we had a couple questions come in, so let's go ahead and get started. Kurt, I think this one is for you. Can you provide a few examples on why related threats are important?
Yeah, that's a great question. So related threats are really important because at the end of the day, bad guys are lazy. And once they have a very effective piece of malware, they're going to reuse it. They're going to reuse sections of it. Yeah, it's just like typical software, software development techniques. Your revenue version. And especially as advanced threats become more sophisticated, you cannot build new malware strains from scratch every time. You're always going to reuse something. And what we can do is if we have a large enough body of malware, we can actually go and search through the actual strings of the object code of a particular malware and find matches. And my favorite example is, it's not the world's greatest example, but it's easy, to really get your mind wrapped around it. It's like a Bitcoin address. Say you've got a piece of ransomware, it throws up a message. It's like, okay, if you want us to unencrypt, all of your data, send money to this Bitcoin address, right, or this Bitcoin wallet ID. Well, wouldn't it be great if you could go and not only looking back in time to find all references to that Bitcoin wallet ID or future references as well as potential threats come into your system? Wouldn't it be great to be able to identify it because it's probably it's the same actor. Yeah, and that's a simple example, but there's a lot of command and control and other infrastructure and encryption algorithms that can be reused. So the trick there is having a large body of data and malware. CrowdStrike, we have over 5 years and 2 billion malware samples that we've indexed and can actually find relationships literally within seconds. And that way we can return back to the customer all of the IOCs of the related malware so it can be blocked now and in the future. So related malware, it used to be a topic only for government researchers and large-scale cyber threat intelligence teams are now available to you and I, because that can now be automatically done for you. So you can protect yourself better.
Great, thank you. So how concerned should we be with activity on the dark web?
Yeah, I love that one because, it's like, especially these days where, you're watching TV at night and up pops the commercial, right, of the deep and dark web. My grandmother calls me up and she's all afraid of what's happening and asks me what the heck is going on. It's really not the deep, dark web that you should be really concerned about. I mean, a lot of that information is open source. The bad guys know that there are technologies out there that go and scan through, these sites that may not be indexed, by the Google search engines, or, we can still go out and scan and pull information from, other kind of hidden sites as well. They know that. They know that, that there are companies built on finding that information. I'm not saying it's not valuable, but the real activity is happening in closed forums and closed chat areas. That you have to be invited, you have to be accepted to be part of these criminal forums because they're not dummies. So that's what you should be concerned with, and that's very expensive to be able to get information in those forums. If you're a large organization, that might be a little bit of espionage you need to do to get accepted into that group. That's very expensive to do. There are some threat intelligence providers out there that enable, some insight into those forums, but that's really the area that you need to be concerned about. And going back to the presentation, that's where it's really important to understand yourself, right? Understand the crown jewels that you have within your organization so you can identify, the particular actors that might be coming after you. So you can attempt to find those forums and get a better understanding of what's happening.
Great, thank you. Okay, last question. What if I need help figuring out the details of a threat?
Yeah, so As you saw when I was running through the demo, there's a lot of information that can be provided about a piece of malware. Everything from what a memory dump looks like, what it calls, does it call outside of the infrastructure? There's a lot of information. And the nice part about the interface that I showed is you can drill in as deep as you want to go. But, not everyone is a malware reverse engineer, right? And sometimes when you get into looking at memory blocks, that can get a little bit overwhelming. So what we also do is we provide a service that, hey, if you just say, "Uncle, I don't get it," our analysts can come in and take a look at the results and take our expertise and put it into language that we can all understand. In addition, if there is a unique piece of malware, that doesn't execute in the sandbox, or it's very difficult to get it to detonate properly. We also have a service where you can send us anything, any piece of malware, and we'll go and reverse engineer it for you. So we do provide some services that help you, take some of the more sophisticated, more complex areas and help you with the analysis and recommendations to move forward in the future.
Great. Thank you so much, Walter and Kurt, for walking us through this presentation, and that concludes today's webinar. So I want to thank you all for participating, and we hope you found this presentation informative. A follow-up email will be sent to you shortly, which will include a link to review today's webinar and those additional resources. So again, thank you all for participating, and enjoy your day.